Let's go. 2 Da Capos and 1 Academy gang member burst through the... Oh, no. Oh, my throat is already going. Great. Because I did it... I recorded yesterday. And now today. Probably a bad idea, huh? 2 Da Capos and 1 Academy gang member burst through the front door of my boutique the following afternoon, all holding shopping bags full of various fabrics and supplies. After they dump the bags onto a display table and hand me the receipts, I take out some cash and hand it over with a smile. Thanks for picking up all of this stuff, you guys, I say, rifling through the bags and examining... I say, rifling through the bags to examine the various fabric types and patterns. This looks great. Would you mind taking it all to the workroom? I ask, pointing out the location's direction. Jed and Sarah will sort through everything and distribute it. Sure thing, the Valkyrie, one of the Capo members says, and the 3 take the bags away. I let out a long sigh once they're out of earshot, returning to my sketchbook. Deciding on the designs for the 50 outfits was easy. 50 suit jackets, 25 button-down shirts, 25 blouses, and a mixture of trousers and skirts. All the cuts are relatively simple, with different fabrics, colours, and buttons used for variety's sake. I was able to draw up plans and instructions for those earlier today, but the 5 unique designs I need to provide to be showcased and auctioned off at the charity fundraiser are proving to be a bit more of a challenge. I don't have much experience working with professional wear, which makes it hard to come up with an original design, especially since there's so many constraints on acceptable office wear. After idly tapping my pencil against the paper for a few minutes, I decide to go check up on everyone. Inside my modest workroom, there's nearly 10 people crammed inside, trying to communicate over the loud whirl of the sewing machines. Sarah stands over by a table, trying to oversee those cutting the bolts of fabric down into the pieces I specified in my instructions. Jed, on the other hand, is assisting someone trying to change out the thread in my sewing machine. A couple of people brought their own machines from home, increasing our efficiency but also cramping the confined space. Sarah walks over to me when she spots me, running a hand over her forehead. I don't know how well this is working, she says, looking distraught. I can barely hear myself think. How about if we move everything apart from the sewing machines into the main area of the boutique? I peer back out into the empty open room. Really? Sarah asks, looking hopeful. That wouldn't disrupt your business. Nah, it's fine. After what Ivan's done, I doubt any customers will be coming in. Thrilled to be escaping the close quarters, Sarah excitedly tells her team members they'll be relocating. While everyone packs up their materials, I clear off some of the display tables to make room and change the soft music that plays in the store into something more energetic and fun. Oh my god, this is so much better, one Academy member says as she places down her things. It's nice to actually be able to hear your voice, a Da Capo replies, winking at her. What was that story you were trying to tell me about the Academy's principal's office again? As the group settles into a happier rhythm, Sarah and I exchange smiles. It's nice to see everyone getting along decently, especially since the Academy gang was hesitant to hear the Da Capos would be showing up to help over these next 2 weeks. But the cheery banter only serves to distract me from my designing work further, and I end up chatting and assisting Sarah's group, neglecting my own. After stealing Sarah upstairs to my apartment during our lunch break, I confide in her about the troubles I'm having. Don't worry so much, Valkii, Sarah waves away my concerns with her hand. You've had creative blocks before, and you've always seemed to sort them out in no time. What if I don't figure it out this time? What if I don't finish in time for the fundraiser? I pop a nail into my mouth, envisioning what would happen to the business if I ruin this opportunity. Hey, Sarah pries my hand away, pulling me in for a hug. Don't focus on that. It's way too much pressure. Just focus on doing what you love to do, making clothes that are beautiful, that you'd want to wear. Thanks for being here for me, Sarah, and for everything you do to help, I say, hugging my best friend back. As we step away from each other, a small idea sparks in the back of my mind. That's what friends are for, Sarah gives me a sweet smile. You were there for me in my darkest, most dramatic moments. I instantly get flashbacks to seeing Sarah in the hospital after the knife attack from Ivan, only for my mind to be invaded by another fretting thought. Who planted that knife on Grey? You all are dumb. Everyone is dumb. The breadcrumbs are there. Like, oh my god, he all but told you that night what he did. Hey Valkii, coming back downstairs? I want to spend some time with Jed before getting back to work. I shake any speculations out of my head. No, I think I'll stay here. The quiet helps me focus, and I really should be getting back to my sketches. Right now, I know exactly what I need to be focusing on. I'll try to find opportunities to take my gang members aside and ask them about the mystery knife over the course of the next 2 weeks, but finishing my designs comes before solving conspiracies. The next 2 weeks pass by in a blur. Good, we don't have to deal with that. For the most part, interactions between the Academy and the Da Capos went better than expected, with numerous budding friendships forming. When they didn't go so well, Sarah and Jed swiftly put a stop to any drama. They also led the volunteers to the successful completions of the 50 outfits, taking as much work off my occupied hands as they could. I look around at my boutique, feeling empty now that everyone has packed up and gone home. Hearing the lock on the back door turn and someone enter, I move my head in time to see Gray walk into the shop. "Hello, stranger," I say as nonchalantly as I can. "It's been a while." I haven't seen Gray once since the night the Da Capos met at the bar. He hasn't even hosted his weekly poker games. My throat's just getting scratchy. I had a little free time, so I thought I would come to help. Gray looks around at the empty shop and the packed cardboard boxes. "It's a bit late for that," I say tersely. "Everything's done." Gray's eyes whip over to mine, boring into me. "Valkii, are you angry with me?" I sigh as I consider the question. I know I shouldn't be. I know that you told me you'd be busy settling whatever it is that you're dealing with, but I swallow the lump rising in my throat. "I've missed you a lot." "I know," he whispers. "I'm sorry." Gray moves closer to me, stopping at arm's length. He reaches out and strokes my hair with one of his hands. "I wanted to be here for you, Valkii. I can be now." "Really?" I ask, the idea of having him back in my life seeming too good to be true. "Will you come to the fundraiser tomorrow?" He pulls me in close, pressing a kiss to my forehead. "If you want me there, that's where I'll be. I promise you." "Does this mean everything is over? We can go back to normal?" I don't know yet." Gray looks at me regretfully, "but I'm doing what I can to ensure things play out the way I want them to." I sigh softly, pulling away from him. I want to feel like I have him back again, and not like we're always on borrowed time. Gray clears his throat, then points to the 5 original designs I finished for the fundraiser. "Are those the clothes that you created for the charity?" Jed was telling me a bit about it. He walks over to the display and starts inspecting my creations. Yeah," I say, feeling a bit bashful. "It's not exactly the most original concept. I just ended up making clothes that I thought I'd want to wear if it were me working in an office." "Oh?" Gray asks, holding up a men's navy suit jacket. "How so?" "Well," I start to say, striding over towards him, "it's a fairly standard jacket and pants, as you can see. As for the shirt, I pull out a silk button-down made up of 3 horizontal striped sections. It's meant to stand out. At work, with the jacket button, this'll all look like a common..." I'm so sorry. I don't know what's wrong with me today. I'm just so dead. "This'll all look like commonplace professional dress, but someone could take the jacket off and then immediately be ready to meet up with friends or a date." "Can't say I've spent much time in a suit," Gray says, taking the shirt's material between 2 fingers. "But it does seem like a nice idea. Is it the same concept for the women's clothing?" He points to a couple of dresses and matching jackets. "Exactly." I pull one of the outfits on the rack closer towards us. The dress is knee-length with a floral green print, while the jacket of matching length is structured and solid-coloured. The jacket makes it appropriate to wear at work, but the dress is something I'd still want to be wearing afterwards. "Oh yeah?" Gray asks, a sly grin forming. "Maybe you should try it on for me." "Oh, you two just can't, just have, a moment? You always have to, turn it sexual." "Only if you help me change." I can't help but tease him, falling back into our familiar rhythm. Gray's eyes darken with lust as he looks me over. "I would love to, Valkii." He takes a slow, deliberate step towards me, watching me carefully to see how I react. Despite the weirdness of these past few weeks, I know I still feel the same about him. I still want Gray, very, very much. Perhaps I should start with this. One hand reaches towards my sweater, slowly sliding it off my shoulder. "Or these?" His other hand slides up my thigh, his fingers hooking themselves on the edge of my underwear. I look up at him from beneath my lashes. "Whatever you think is best, Gray." "Great. Okay, bye." Okay, it's nothing. It's fine. I'm probably still gonna fast forward through it just because, yeah, it seems stupid. I never know what's gonna happen, okay? Tomorrow it is. He swoops in for one last quick kiss. Good night, Valkii. Good night, Grey. As I watch him leave, I have to stop myself from changing my mind and calling out to stop him. I reassure myself that another opportunity to be with Grey will come along soon enough. Dang, this is a nice place, Sarah exclaims as she, Jed, Nikki, Grey, and I walk up to the hotel, boxes in hand. Very fancy, Jed says, nodding along. An employee immediately comes around to assist us, loading the cardboard containers onto a luggage cart. I explain to him that I'm a designer participating in the Work Week Wear conference, and he nods in affirmation. I'll take this over to the conference room 3C for storage. You can double check with the front desk, but I believe the event is being hosted in room 3B next door, the bellhop says. Okay, thank you. I give him a polite smile before my attention moves towards locating the elevators. My pleasure. A warm pair of arms wraps around my waist. Is this the kind of place you'd like me to take you to someday? Grey whispers into my ear. Having our own room sounds nice, I say seductively, speaking at a low enough volume for the others not to overhear. Oh yeah? Grey smirks. And what do you imagine us to be doing in there? Whatever you tell me to do. I grin wickedly. Hooey, knowing exactly which buttons to press. Grey stares back at me, his eyes dark with desire. Be careful what you wish for, Valkii. I might just give it to you. That's exactly what I'm counting on. I skip a couple of steps ahead, pulling the door open into the hotel lobby and heading inside. After taking the elevator, we head over to the registration table located outside the relevant conference rooms and are greeted by a stylish-looking woman in her 30s. Oh my god, it's her. Hello, I'm Angela. I'm the event coordinator for Work Week Wear's fundraiser today. Are you all attending as guests today? The three men nod, but Sarah and I don't. Hi, I'm Sarah Jones. I'm here as a photographer. I spoke to Neil Forrester and received permission a couple weeks ago. I'm so glad I asked Sarah to call him and set that up. I feel secure knowing Sarah will be able to capture my work, confident she'll do so in a flattering way. Angela confirmed something in her notebook before nodding. I see, she smiles brightly at Sarah. I'll get you a press badge. And you? Angela turns her gaze to me, still smiling. I'm Valkii Hirth. I also spoke with Mr. Forrester, but about appearing today as a designer. We brought the required outfits with us. I believe an employee took them to room 3C. The woman's smile freezes. Oh, yes. I remember being told you were added. She seems reluctant to speak further, eyeing another group of people that just approached the table. Can we speak a little ways down the hallway? Angela asks, and I feel a nervous heat creep through my body. Sure. Though the others stay behind, watching us walk away, Grey follows. He stays just far back enough not to appear like he's listening, pretending to be fixated on a piece of artwork hanging in the hall. Is there a problem? I ask nervously as Angela and I come to a stop. We thought we had enough male models for all the original designs today, but we've had several last-minute cancellations. There isn't enough. Angela looks at me apologetically. Since you were the last designer to join, well... I'm too busy trying to keep a straight face to answer. All the work and time everyone's contributed to this day these past weeks. Was this all for nothing? We can still credit you as a full participant, and we have plenty of female models available, but I'm afraid you won't be able to present any designs that require male models. Angela studies my face, looking concerned. Aren't the models able to change into new clothes throughout the show? I say finally. Well, of course, but even after altering the catwalk order, we couldn't find a way to get male models that would fit the measurements you sent to us ready in time. The schedule is just too fast-paced for the models to do all the clothes changes they would need to do. Something has to give. Angela looks at me with pleading eyes, willing me to understand. I let the severity of the situation sink in. With over half of my original outfits unable to be shown today, can I make a big enough impression that I have hope of media coverage? Holy shit. I should not have recorded today, apparently. Excuse me, Grey cuts into the conversation. Couldn't help but overhear, and is there any chance that I could volunteer to model Miss Hirth's clothes? Ah, yes, Angela says, taken aback. Provided they'll fit, I don't see why not. Excellent, Grey grins at me while I stare back, dumbfounded. And those two gentlemen over there, the ones we arrived with, could they do the same? Well, sure. Angela's smile is back. The coordinator for the models is in room 3C. She can give you all of your instructions. Sounds great, thank you, I say, amazed the situation worked out. As we walk behind Angela to finish checking in, I resist giving Gray a huge hug. You saved the day, I whisper, looking up at him with a smile. Gray waves away my praise. You would have done just fine without me. I just wanted to see all your effort get the recognition it deserves. I know how hard you worked for this. Gray, you're the sweetest. I beam at him, absolutely ecstatic. Think Jed and Nikki will agree to be models? I'll convince them. Gray seems quite confident. Leave that to me. As I finish up the registration process with Angela, Gray somehow gets the other guys on board. I'm thankful they're willing to help me, doubtful either of them would want to be a model for a day. Jed's pretty big. The rest of the setup process goes smoothly, and before I know it, the event is about to start. Angela comes before everyone to speak, microphone in hand. The bustle of the crowd and numerous conversations comes to a close as she moves to the front of the room. Welcome everyone to Work Week Wear's 5th semi-annual fundraiser. I'm Angela Parker, the event coordinator for this afternoon. In just a few minutes, we'll start the fashion show. I'm sure you all are very excited to start. Today's event completely features indie designers and small boutique owners who have generously donated clothing to our cause. Please give them a round of applause. Angela pauses to give the audience time to clap. The bidding today will be done by silent auction, and any money raised will be split between our organisation and the respective designer of the outfit. Here's how to place your bid. As Angela goes into the details, Sarah turns to whisper to me. Can you believe any second now your work is going to be on display? Absolutely not, I say, remembering how powerful it was to see my designs at a high school play. This is something I couldn't have imagined. Are you excited to see Jed in a suit? I whisper to Sarah. Of course, she grins. Opportunities like this don't come around too often. You're totally right. A thrill of anticipation runs through me as I try to imagine Gray wearing the suit I designed. I'm very glad I didn't wash the clothes with a lavender detergent this time around. We probably shouldn't do that anyway, like on any clothes that you put in your boutique, because the same thing could happen. And without further ado, let's begin, Angela exclaims. In groups of 5, models walk into the room and stand behind Angela, showing off the features of their clothing through various subtle poses. Sarah and I converse with each other as the show goes on, complimenting unique aspects of the designs and discussing what outfits we would want to wear. Chatting with her serves as a pleasant distraction from the thought of my own clothing being on display any second now. I hope the guys are doing okay. The 3 suits I made should fit them decently, especially with some assistance from pins. Look, Sarah squeals, getting her camera ready as the next group walks to the front of the room. Oh, we got a thing. Okay, cool. Yeah, you look really cool, Gray. A whirlwind of emotions runs through me as I see 2 female models along with Nikki, Gray and Jed standing before the crowd, dressed in my handiwork. Gray in particular walks to the end of the catwalk and flashes his iconic grin at the crowd. He makes a finger gun and puffs out his blazer. I can't help but beam with pride. Gray looks so good. I never imagined. Do you think people like them? I ask Sarah, no doubt disturbing her as she takes photos. What's not to like? They're beautiful, Valkii. She flashes me a quick smile. Jed looks great. To my surprise, I do see some people taking notice and jotting things down on paper, following the instructions Angela gave to place a bid. That has to be a good sign. The showcase phase of the event soon wraps up and the guys walk over to us afterwards while the bidding phase officially starts. How'd we do? Nikki says, dressed in his regular clothes again. You all looked amazing, Sarah replies, looking only at Jed. Gray, I notice him. Well, oh. New outfit. Who dis? You didn't undress? I ask, seeing him wear the outfit still. I honestly felt like wearing this a little longer, he admits. Been getting some good feedback on it. Did you really have to do the finger gun at the end there? I ask with a grin. Give me some slack, that was the first thing that came to mind. Gray smiles sheepishly at me, running one hand through his hair. It was adorable, I say earnestly. Excuse me, are you the designer for these young men's outfits? Oh, it's Neil's mother? I feel a tap on my shoulder and turn to see an elegant middle-aged woman trying to get my attention. Oh, yes, I am. I'm Valkii Hirth. I reach out to shake her hand, which she accepts. Nice to meet you, Miss Hirth. You can call me Evelyn. The woman gives me a polite smile. I just wanted to say I enjoyed your work. I hope to see you at the next fundraiser as well. Thank you very much. I hope they'll have me back at the next event also, I say, returning her smile. Evelyn says a brief farewell to the group and is on her way. I turn back to everyone, grinning. That was kind of her, Jed says. Yeah, I shake my head in disbelief. This whole day has just been unreal. Well, you deserved it. Sarah rests her head on my shoulder for a second. You've been working so hard. I couldn't have done it without you guys. Thank you all so much. Seriously. This has been such an incredible moment. It's not over yet, right? Nikki points out. Don't you still have to get paid? How does that work? Oh, right. I'm not really sure. I could go talk to Angela. I search for the event coordinator in the crowd. Upon spotting her, I make my way over and inquire about payment for my designs. Let me see here, Angela says, tallying up numbers from her stack of papers and showing it to me. You can expect to receive a bank transfer of roughly half this amount. If you'd like, you can give me your bank information now, or we can do it later this week over the phone. Now's fine, I say, taking a piece of paper and pen from her and writing my account number down. You can expect an email from us with records of the bidding, as well as a survey for how you thought the event was run today and information about how to volunteer further with Workweek wear. We look forward to hearing from you, Angela gives me another professional smile. Thank you, I say politely before heading back to join my friends. So, Sarah asks as I approach, are you a millionaire now? Far from it, I laugh, but for 2 weeks of non-stop work, it's pretty great. Not life-changing or anything, but I don't have to worry as much about business being non-existent for a while. That's awesome, Sarah replies. Shall we all head home? I want to upload these photos and edit them as soon as possible so we can try to get that business article about Valkii written for the newspaper. Fine by me, Jed says. It'd be good to change clothes. As Sarah pouts, Nikki makes eye contact with Gray and I. Are you guys leaving too? Nikki asks. I think most people are. Yeah, I'm pretty tired, I confess. Gray places a hand on the small of my back, leading me out of the conference room as the rest of the group follows. Let's get you home then. I can think of nothing better. Next one. I tap my fingers against the cashier counter nervously, keeping an eye on the clock as I do. Any minute now, Kara will call to further discuss a partnership between my clothing boutique and the clothing production factory she works for. I first reached out to her company the day after the fundraiser, inspired by reading the list of helpful resources and contacts Workweek wear sent out to participating designers. We've spoken over the phone and even had lunch together once in the few days since. So far, their professionalism, reasonable rates, and close location to Olympus have made this partnership seem more and more like a great idea. With any luck, I'll have a reliable, long-term business relationship that can aid me whenever current orders outweigh what I can produce on my own. After having to rely on the kindness of my friends to get the Workweek wear project completed on time, learning how to scale my business has never seemed so important. An eager knock on the window of my storefront causes me to look up. Sarah waves from the outside outside my not yet opened shop, holding up a small bottle of champagne proudly. Jed stands next to her, his own hands occupied by orange juice and disposable cups. I gleefully unlock the front door and usher in my uninvited guests. I wasn't planning on opening up shop until I had finished my call with Kara anyway. Why not let my friends distract me with mimosas while I wait? Sarah bounds in through the door with Jed following close behind her, before the both of them set down their stuff on the cashier counter. We come bearing gifts, Sarah shouts. I can see that, I tease, ribbing her lightly. I eye the two of them curiously as we start to pour the juice and pop open the champagne. What's the occasion? I ask. You, a deep familiar voice from behind me says. I turn to see Gray winking at me as the boutique door closes behind him. With just a few strides, he's right in front of me, close enough to touch. Gray hands me a large picture frame, and my eyebrows dip as I examine the contents. As I start reading through the framed piece of news, I nearly shriek in excitement. What? The article about Olympus came out. When? How did I miss this? Nikki said it was released earlier this morning. He found it while he was getting ready for work, Sarah says. She then proceeds to wrinkle her nose up in exaggerated disgust. School starts way too early. He asked me to congratulate you in person in his place. You should be proud, Jed says. He gives me a small smile as he hands out the finished cocktails. The article speaks highly of you. Who wouldn't? Gray chimes in. He raises his own glass to me in celebration, grinning proudly. After the four of us clink our cups together, I stand staring at the story in shock. I never know how many screenshots I'm going to need. I can hardly believe it. One part in particular catches my eye. Hey, they have a quote here from Evelyn, the woman who approached me at the fundraiser, I say. My eyes widen as I read the next few lines. Wow, it seems like she's pretty influential. One of the Workweek wear's greatest benefactors. The fact that she's complimenting my work here is so crazy, I say, feeling incredulous. That's amazing, Sarah beams at me. The Kleiner Academy principal is quoted in there as well, praising the costumes you made for their play. They even bought some of my photos to use in the article. Sarah points to where her name is printed as a contributor. Let's hope we'll both continue to get new business beyond this, she says, still smiling brightly. Definitely. I actually had a meeting with a small clothing manufacturer the other day to help me prepare for just that. I'm supposed to hear back from her today at around 9:30. I nod my head towards Jed. No more counting on DeCapo's legendary seamster to lead the team of amateurs to save the day, I joke. Oh, he doesn't mind, Sarah says. She wraps her arms around Jed's tall form. None of us did. My heart melts thinking of how much everyone did to help me in my business. I'm beyond appreciative, truly. I pray my sincerity comes through in my words. But I don't want to have to rely on the kindness of my friends to survive these situations, not if I can properly prepare for them. That's a great attitude to have, Valkii, Sarah says. She lays a hand on my shoulder. I'm super proud of you. It's almost 9:30, Jed says, glancing at his watch. We should clear out if you're expecting a call. Aw, but we just got here, Sarah pouts. Despite her protest, she helps the rest of us clear the drinks away quickly. The two set out together after wishing Gray and I goodbye. Sarah winks at me as she grabs the champagne and juice to take with them. Probably best I don't drink much at the start of a workday anyway, though the mimosas were a fun break from routine. Mind if I stick around for a while? Gray asks. He leans back casually against my front counter, tucking his hands into his pockets. There's some things I'd like to talk to you about after your phone call wraps up, but I understand if you prefer privacy. As long as you promise to be good. I twirl a lock of hair around my finger as I speak, my tone flirtatious and light. Oh? Gray raises an eyebrow. And what does that entail? Doing as I say, being quiet when I tell you to be. Oh. He's like, no, never. I grin as my words cause Gray's eyes to narrow and his lips to twitch. I love pushing his buttons. See, it's definitely turned into bratty and not dominant in this room. Gray slowly lifts himself off the counter and saunters over to me. One hand combs through my hair gently before resting on the back of my neck. You have it backwards, Valkii. You're in my command. Gray speaks deliberately, his silver eyes staring into mine. Using his free hand, he rubs his thumb over my lips. And I want you to be loud. Mesmerized, I lose myself in his gaze until my phone starts to vibrate from inside my pocket. I quickly step back from Gray and shake my head in an effort to clear my disoriented mind. Hello, this is Valkii Hirth speaking. Hello, Miss Hirth. This is Kara. We had lunch together the other day to discuss our clothing factory collaborating with Olympus to produce your designs. Oh yes, I'm really excited to talk more in detail about... I'm calling to let you know that we won't be able to continue with this partnership. I freeze in place. Gray's eyebrows lift as he takes in my expression, and I slowly shake my head at him. Well, I'm very sorry to hear that. Could you tell me why? There's a moment of heavy silence on the other side of the line. After our meeting, a man approached me who had some allegations against you. Our company has to keep appearances in mind and cannot afford to associate ourselves with anyone or anything disreputable. My mouth drops open in surprise. What? A man? For a moment, I'm too dumbfounded to put the pieces together. Then a sense of dread steadily spreads through me. There's only one person who could be behind this. The lack of interference from him over the past couple of weeks as we prepared for the fundraiser was only a temporary reprieve. He intends to keep hurting me. I tune back into the phone just to hear the end of Kara's polite but curt goodbye before the line goes dead. My trembling hand slowly retracts from the side of my face, taking my phone with it as it falls limply at my side. Gray's arms encircle my waist in an instant. What's happened? His voice is a whisper, his voice full of concern. It's Ivan, again. I try to speak clearly, but emotion seeps into my words. He told them something about me and now they won't work with me anymore. Told them what? Gray's perplexion mirrors my own. I don't know. Maybe he didn't say anything about me. Maybe he threatened them, or maybe he... My eyes start to sting as a sense of hopelessness comes over me. Gray presses me to him and I stand in his embrace, breathing his scent in and out until I feel calm enough to continue. I didn't imagine he'd try so hard or go this far, I say, wiping my eyes. I feel he'd sooner see Olympus destroyed than accept my refusal. I look up at Gray, whose lips have settled into a grim line. I'm starting to feel like I'm running out of options, Gray. If I called the police on him, I'd be putting you and Jed at risk as well. I chew on my bottom lip, trying to think of another solution, one that doesn't involve having to lose my business. Should I give in? I can barely get the words out. No, Gray commands. The hardness of his tone takes me by surprise. No, Valkii, leave Ivan to me. I'll take care of this. I don't want you caught up in illegal activity because I persuaded you to rent out your basement. His voice is still firm, but with gentleness now laced through it. I can protect you. He looks at me, his affection clear despite all the negative emotions weighing on both of us. Gray then rakes a hand through his hair, taking a deep breath. I'll talk to him. I'll go now. Are you sure? Wasn't there something you wanted to talk to me about? It can wait. Gray presses a light kiss against my forehead. I'll come back as soon as I can, Valkii. We'll talk then. The moment I finish bidding him goodbye, uncertainty settles in the pit of my stomach. I want to trust that Gray can handle his business partner. I know he's more than capable, but still. Ivan is unpredictable. After running upstairs and booting up my PC, I log into my property insurance account and read over the coverage carefully. I jot down a couple of questions and the customer service number, but overall feel reassured. My policy covers a range of terrible events from arson to theft. Hopefully, I'll never have cause to file a claim, though I start steeling myself to expect the worst. In between customers, I spend the rest of the day running back and forth from the shop to my living quarters. I search through my things, looking for what's most invaluable to pack into boxes, though a lot of my time is spent determining what has sentimental value. I do pack up some practical items into a small backpack as well. My passport and most important documents, the barest of toiletries and a change of clothes, as well as some cash and a backup of my hard drive are now all contained in one convenient portable package. Hopefully, I'll never need to use it, or well, you will because you've made it, so therefore it will happen. I don't feel the need to call up Sarah and ask her to store my things for me yet, but my heart grows lighter knowing I'm organized and have a plan. It feels a bit silly packing up my belongings when I was doing the opposite just a short while ago. While combing through my stuff, I come across the photos my parents had sent over some months ago, grimacing as I spot the one of Sarah and I as active gang members in our Kleiner Academy days. Hard to imagine such a harmless-looking keepsake was a catalyst for the drama between Gray and I. Still, I can't help but feel some amount of gratitude. It's funny how much easier things feel now that I don't have to keep up the deception. Perhaps it would have been best if I'd been truthful from the start, but back then I was unsure how Gray would react. It's tempting to be hard on my past decisions now when everything turned out okay, but honestly I'm lucky that I didn't lose him. Really lucky. I tested his trust so early in our relationship, yet he's still here, supporting me and looking out for me. No more secrets. It's all I can really do going forward. I can learn from my mistakes. A soft knock at my apartment door overtakes my attention. It's me. Gray's voice calls out to me, the sound slightly muffled. Can I come in? I bound over to the door, pulling it open for him. Of course, I say. As he enters, I search his facial expression for hints about how his conversation with Ivan went. Gray takes my hand in his, leading me over to my couch. He's going to leave you alone, Gray says, looking into my eyes, and so am I. I'm breaking our lease agreement. We'll be moving our operation as soon as possible. Frowning, I struggle to comprehend the severity of his statement. You're leaving? I ask finally. As relieved as I am to be rid of Ivan, I don't want to lose my connection to Gray. Just your basement. Gray gives me a half smile. I'd like to just come by as your boyfriend from now on. I could get used to that. A smile of my own starts to form as I savor his choice of words. My happy expression halts as I recall the pledge I made to myself earlier in the evening. No more lies. No more hiding the truth. There's something I need to tell you first. Something you need to know before we make anything official between us. Gray's eyebrows immediately draw together. What is it? He asks, his trepidation made clear. I'm not sure if you've pieced this together or not, but I wanted to make something clear. I breathe in deeply, calming my nerves. I'm the one who called the cops on you that night, back in high school. I needed a distraction so that I didn't have to face you in a fight. For a moment after I speak, I squeeze my eyes shut, afraid to see his reaction. When I open them, I find Gray staring at me intensely. Was it you who planted the knife as well? He speaks softly, though his tone is far from gentle. How could you even ask that of me? I ask, shocked by the insinuation. Why on earth would he want to be with me if he thought I'd caused such a terrible thing to take place? Do you really believe I'm capable of that, or even ordering it to happen? My voice trembles. Gray's eyes are dark and narrowed slightly. I'm not sure what the Valkyrie was capable of then. I know when it comes to deceit, you're certainly... Gray cuts himself abruptly, running a hand roughly through his hair in frustration. I'm sorry, Valkii, that was uncalled for. You're also fucking deceitful. Fuck off, I hate you. My hand comes to a rest on one of his shoulders. No, I haven't been considerate of you. Not now in the present and not back then. I hold Gray's gaze, not breaking away for a second. I didn't plant the knife, Gray, nor did I order anyone to. He breathes out a sigh. Truthfully, I would have been surprised if it had been you, but I don't think a Da Capo was responsible, and no one else was there. Could a member of your gang have gone rogue? No, Ivan was there, and he literally hinted that he did it. I shake my head. That thought occurred to me after hearing what your gang member said at Wasted. I asked around when everyone was here helping me prepare for the fundraiser, but everyone denied it. No one knew about my plan to hide and call the cops, so it doesn't make sense for anyone from Kleiner to give you a knife and risk you using it on me. They had a hard enough time convincing me to fill the leadership role that I highly doubt anyone was looking for me to get hurt. Gray nods as he follows my line of reasoning, but then sighs. If we can rule out the Kleiner Academy gang and the Da Capo gang, who else could it possibly have been? I feel crazy. Yeah, thank you. What about Ivan? Has he ever told you what he was doing there that night? I ask. The memory of our first meeting is practically burned into my brain. Oh, is it? Because you haven't brought it up fucking once. Though whether that's due to Ivan's unsettling nature or the dramatic events of the evening, I can't be too sure. Ivan? Gray repeats, looking dumbfounded. He was at the park too? Yeah, he's never mentioned it to you? I figured it would have come up, considering how long you've known each other. My brow furrows. No, not once. Believe me, I would have remembered. Gray's tone is flat as he speaks, his body language stiff and alert. Oh. I shift uncomfortably in my seat, not sure what else to say. Why would Ivan keep that from him, unless he had something to hide? Watching someone get arrested doesn't exactly seem like the type of thing you'd forget, nor is Ivan the type to watch his words. Yeah, he literally basically spelled out that, like, everything worked out for him. So you saw him that night. Did he say anything to you? Do you know why he was there? Gray asks after a moment's pause. I stayed hidden in the trees to watch how things played out, and he found me there. Ivan struck up a conversation about how the night didn't go as intended, but played right into his hands, exactly. I suppressed a shudder as I recall how cryptic and creepy he was, even as a teen. Gray falls back onto the couch as if someone knocked the wind out of him. Are you alright? I asked tentatively. I know he's your partner, but do you think he could have been responsible? Knives were kind of his style. I grimace as I recall the fight between him, Sarah, and I back then. Yeah, Gray says slowly, taking things in. His fists clench until his knuckles turn white. I'll ask him about it. He then shakes his head, looking so lost that it breaks my heart. I was so tough on you for concealing something from me for just a matter of months. To imagine he's been lying to me for years is just... Maybe you should just end things with him, I say gently. If you have to move away anyway and you aren't sure you can trust him, maybe... It's not that easy, Gray says, his tone bitter. What, are you really that attached to this whole poker thing? No, it's not that. Gray waves away my question. If it was just about the job itself, there'd be no issue. I mean, it pays well enough, but carrying out the operation in secrecy is a hassle. It's not worth the trouble, really. So then why not quit? I ask, genuinely curious. It's Ivan, Gray says. He won't let me, not without serious consequences. Like he'd turn you into the police or something? Wouldn't that incriminate him as well? My eyebrows draw together as I contemplate Gray's words. Let's just say he knows things about me that could land me in jail, and not him. Gray's mouth is a flat line as he looks away from me. I get the sense he doesn't exactly want to discuss details right this second. Well, what if Ivan wasn't in the picture? What would you want to do instead? That's a good question, Gray says, appearing thoughtful. Let's just say even before I got kicked out of school, I wasn't the most academically minded. And it's not like I can put down on a resume that I managed an illegal poker ring for the past few years. Gray waggles his eyebrows, making me giggle. Yeah, I don't think that would go over well at most places. What about your cover story of running a game night? I'm sure Jed would provide a reference. Gray just shrugs. Maybe. Well, what about a trade then? Something with technical skills, like... Gray raises a hand to stop me. I stare back, confused by the interruption. Look, Valkii, you're sweet to think about me, but I can and will handle my employment myself. As he looks at me, his eyes soften. I want to be the one taking care of you. That doesn't mean I can't help you sometimes, I protest. True, Gray says, nodding his head in acquiescence. And I can't say I'll never need it, but for now, these are problems within my power to fix. I feign a pout, which makes Gray smile. Sorry, love, but things being within my control is exactly how I like it to be, whether that's the bad things or the good. Gray traces the side of my cheek with his fingers. What happens if they're not? I ask, my tone somewhat suggestive. Gray's eyes flicker towards the jumble board we played on just a short while ago. Do you remember when we talked about what the BDSM acronym stood for? He asks, appearing nonchalant. Yeah, bondage, dominance, submissiveness, and... My brows furrow, trying to recall the meaning of the last letter. We were interrupted before we got to the M, Gray reminds me. Oh, right. What does it stand for? His gaze becomes more and more serious. He watches me closely. Masochism, to derive pleasure from receiving pain. It goes hand in hand with the alternative meaning for S, which is sadism. Sadism would be deriving pleasure from inflicting pain. Oh, I say. I shift nervously on the couch beside him, apprehensive about why he's bringing this up. I'm not into that. Thank God for that. Gray says clearly, still observing me. I let out a breath I didn't realize I was holding. He reaches out for my hand, wrapping it in his own. I enjoy taking on the dominant role in sex, Valkii, but I want you to submit because you love how you feel when you give your body to me, not because you fear what I'll do to you if you don't. Gray's eyes blaze with intensity. I can't overstate how important it is to me that you enjoy being under my control. If you don't want to be, there aren't consequences for that. I'll stop whatever it is I'm doing. I lean towards him, placing a kiss on his cheek. I appreciate you telling me all this, Gray, but heat rushes to my face as I speak. What if I want to challenge what you say, but don't want you to actually stop? So, being a brat. Bashfulness almost feels silly considering I'm a grown woman who's been in relationships before. Even so, I can't say I've talked much about this with anyone. Well, bratty subs aren't uncommon, but it's dangerous territory. Gray's free hand works its way through my hair as his eyes look into mine intently. If resisting or telling me no is part of the fun for you, playfully or otherwise, then we would need a safe word, something that always means you want me to stop right that second. That makes sense. How about stop? Stop. No. I smile at Gray, feeling much safer and more comfortable than I did when this conversation started. I don't really know exactly how I want our dynamic to be. I know I like teasing you sometimes, but I don't know if I want to bring that into the bedroom. There's a pause in our conversation as I start to imagine being intimate with Gray again. Would I still want to play coy then? Well, think about it, Gray says finally, standing up off the couch. It can only help us to have one in place, even if we never use it. Are you leaving? I ask. A frown forms on my face as he moves closer to the door. I want to think over my situation with Ivan, Gray says, looking slightly apologetic. I don't think I'd be much fun even if I stayed, he admits. I walk over to him, wrapping my arms around his neck before planting a kiss on his lips. Next time, I won't let you leave so easily, not before you pay me much, much more attention. Gray breaks out into a smirk. I promise you'll be satisfied. And Valkii. He presses a kiss of his own against me, lingering on my lips for a moment. When everything with Ivan is finally settled, I'm going to command all your attention for a long, long time. All right. And with a final wink, he bids me goodnight. Don't make promises you can't keep, bub. All right. I'll see you in the next one.